Hello, friends. Happy New Year, and welcome back to the Reiki Women podcasts. My name is Nikayla, and with me, as always, is Bronwyn Logan and Carrie Varela. This is our first recording of 2023. In our last recording of 2022, we talked a bit about our experiences with our first year of weekly podcasting and a bit about our favorite moments, just the experience of working together. I really enjoyed kind of having that opportunity to reflect on this past year, really taking on this project and staying with it. And kind of closing out the year in a way that felt really nurturing to me and hopefully did to the two of you and to those of you who have been listening along with us. And we thought that we would follow that same seasonal energy as we step into the first recording of 2023 and share a little bit about what we are projecting into this year. Specifically, what we're projecting within the containers of our own businesses. The three of us are all full-time Reiki practitioners and teachers. This is our livelihood. It's our life. It's what we spend so much of our time and our heart doing and bringing to the world. And all of you get to receive the insights and the experiences and little teaching moments that feel like they have the most heart and meaning to us that we want to share with you. But behind that scene, there's these containers, this larger container of our businesses that hold all of this and that give us the opportunity to bring these teachings forward. So we thought it might be fun and enlightening and hopefully interesting to share a bit with you about what we are excited about in our individual businesses for the coming year, share a little bit more about what those containers look like, and to invite you all to help kind of hold this vision with us, right? To be part of our vision casting, to be part of helping us to put into form the goals and ideas and visions that we have in our hearts and minds for our businesses and the ways in which that will inevitably inform the conversations we have here on this podcast. So friends, I'm excited to learn what the two of you have going on because I feel like I know little bits and pieces from our conversations, but we don't explicitly run our businesses together. And so there's a lot that I don't know. So I'm really looking forward to learning from you. And I would love to invite Bronwyn to start. What's going on for you this year in your business?
Yep, this year. Well, for those who've been following through with our podcasts, might know that I have been a founding member of the International House of Reiki. So So I've done that for I can't think how long, 23 years, something like that, and as of this year, I have branched out on my own, and let me see if I can find it. That's why I put this little thingy up here. So Reiki with Bronwyn is the name of my own branching out. It sort of says it all. Now with this little thing behind me, I'm actually going to remove it, and it's a bit of a lesson as well in something when we're talking about how we create those businesses and what we do. So I was wondering what this might look like to do an image at the back, and so it was a trial. And if I go up into here, I can just turn that off because
So for those of you listening on the audio only, Bronwyn has had this beautiful graphic behind her in her video, green screened in there, that has the name of her business, Reiki with Bronwyn, and some beautiful watercolor. And so it was a very professional looking way to welcome us in to your new endeavors.
However, yes, it does, as I said, make me look a little bit like a fish. It webs my fingers and makes my hair look blobby. So I'm not sure that technology is there yet, right? So it's good to try things. And I think that's always been a major part of my experience as a person running a business, is to try things. If I look back on my computer and I look back through all the files over all these years, that's the cat knocking my computer. If I look at all those files, I see all these things, and a lot of them, things I'm like, what was that? And I look it up and I go, oh yeah, that was something I tried, but wasn't necessarily an amazing success, didn't last for long, or it was only something for a brief period of time, and that was its life. So, really trying things. And when I thought about this discussion, the most important thing that came to me was trusting yourself. And I couldn't think of anything better to come up with a foundation for how you do things. So it's not even a technical thing. I mean, of course, there's technical stuff, but trusting yourself and being in alignment with, yeah. So knowing when is the right time or the wrong time, or at least, as I said, experimenting with that and not being too attached to an outcome. So really trusting that it's all okay, and that what I'm putting in some extent, to some degree, I'm going to get something back out of that as well, aren't I? Like, whether it be a lesson or whatever, I'm going to be moving and changing with this beautiful natural world. And so it's not about forcing something to happen. And I think for me, this has definitely been a very I mean, it's something I've always very strongly believed in, and it's really profoundly come forward for me in the last year. And as I've, looked at moving into starting my own business without a partner, and really then relying upon yourself much more than having someone there who you can bounce things off or whatever, right? So really having that trust and sitting back into that and knowing not to force like feeling like, oh, I have to do that now, I have to do this now, I have to, really just allowing things to unfold. And they're still unfolding, things will always be unfolding, and also creating. So it's being in that natural flow. And I think that obviously the system of Reiki is that. It is something that will have, it feels like it's such a natural part of me to believe in that way. Like, it is a self-belief. And but I'm sure that it's something that has grown with my own practice within the system. And that is understanding that, that the precepts, working with the precepts, being here in this moment, not trying to attach to anything, being compassionate to myself, not wanting to hurt anyone, just really moving with these ways of being are the ways that I find are this beautiful alignment with, as I said, the universe, with nature, and just moving with that flow. So it's a bit esoteric, I'm afraid, but it is what I think. Having that faith and trust in yourself is something that is going to take you in that right direction. It will bring you along the path that you are meant to follow. So that's that. But am I answering the question? Yes, no. I think the other question is, what am I going to be doing, actually? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just set an incredibly beautiful like context, right? For even to settle that question into, right? Like, what is the first of all, how are we aligning our work with the system of Reiki, which was another piece that we wanted to speak to, and then what has your journey to this moment of transition looked like? And so, yeah, I think you did a beautiful job of setting that up. And then, yeah, we'd love to hear anything you want to share about this moment of
Yeah.
transition and what you see for yourself this year.
Well, I sort of, in one way, a lot of it is a lot of the work that I've done over the years. Of course, I'll take some of that work with me, and classes that I've taught, web classes. I think the probably I mean, I'm going to be creating new classes, live classes, as well as on-demand classes. And every second Monday, I have a class, an hour class that people can join, and they can pay whatever they want for that class. It's up to them. So there's no specific fee structure attached to make it accessible to people, because I know people who can't afford to pay for a lot of things, and still want to be a part of a group and still want to practice. For me, that's a really important part of all of this. It sort of encapsulates everything. And I was thinking about this, and I thought, this is also how I learn and grow, by teaching. So the things that I would teach, my new website, Reiki with Bronwyn, is focusing on coaching, yeah, and so helping people with their practice, whether it be business or personal. And I keeping these every second Monday classes, will be working with that as well in a group format. And the way that I like to teach is to use, obviously, my own experience. So once again, it's trust in yourself, faith in yourself, uh, pulling on all your own experiences in life, knowing who you are, and being able to then share from that space. And the other part is always extending it. And I've found in any of these group practices, which are ongoing, that each class, I want to bring something new for the class and something new for me, because I want to learn as well. Yeah. So it's not just about a rote thing. There is a part that is always structured and safe, and then there is a part that is something that I've been researching, something that I've been learning about, and me being able to share that. And that, to me, is really important, keeping my own learning alive. And that's how I have done it for the International House of Reiki, and I will continue to do that with this as well. But I've got YouTube meditations, and I want to do more with YouTube. I know Michaela's doing lots with YouTube, and maybe Carrie's doing stuff too, I think. So it's a great medium, and I look forward to doing more with that this year as well. So but focusing more on the coaching, so supporting people in developing their Reiki practices, basically. That's sort of where I'm going with it all.
That is so cool. I love that you're focusing on coaching. That's such a fantastic way to focus, right? The need for people to learn Reiki, but then what, right? How do we really root into our practice and stay with it, apply it to the rest of our life? So that coaching structure is really, really beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Miss
I also
Varela.
oh, my turn. Is it my turn now? Um, so I think there's two questions kind of bouncing around. So I'll focus on the latter question, I guess, just like what I'm up to, and then I'd love to maybe chat about a little bit more of my process of like how do I get from a project from point A all the way to point Z, and how is Reiki a part of that process for me?
Yeah.
But in terms of what I'm up to, 2023. Well, congratulations. We made it all the way here, and feel really grateful for a new year and, fresh, clean slate. And one of the mindsets that I've been really bringing to it is, this is like the past doesn't matter. This is a new step forward, and we can build on the foundation we built from the past. But that freshness, that newness, it's one of my favorite times of year, just to really feel that clean slate, that openness, and do my best to just kind of clear out some of the cobwebs of 2022 and start off with a fresh, clean slate. So I'm going to just kind of work my way sequentially through some of the projects that I've been working on. The first one, which I'm really excited about, is this do-it-yourself ritual called 1111 Blessed. And it's about using Reiki to harness the power of manifestation. And so if there's a big thing that's missing in your life, this little ritual gives you some clarity around, well, how it is that, I can be more mindful about how I'm moving towards that goal or that aspiration in my life, how I can use Reiki, and how I can ultimately design a dream manifesto that you send out like a love letter to the universe. And hopefully it will give you a little boost on your manifestation journey and all of the goals that you have for 2023. So I've had a lot of fun putting that little ritual together, and it's an interesting dollar amount. It's $11.11. And the whole thing is built around some of the numerology of 1111. So I had a lot of fun putting that project together. Other things that I'm really excited about is that over the past, as I'm reflecting, the last 5 years, I have invested so deeply in business training. And that's where I met Michaela through a women's business development program. And I did that back in 2018. And I've been a part of that community for a while. And last year I did another big business training. And last year I did Shoden Okuden in the Jikiden lineage, and then I did all 3 trainings with Bronwyn through Yasui Reiki Ryoho. And so I am really excited to be teaching Reiki again. I've really taken a long hiatus, about 3 years off from teaching Reiki, mostly because I just didn't have the time with my kiddos, but really just wanting to feel deeper philosophical alignment around what I was teaching. And I think I found that. So I know I found that, and that's just been really, really exciting. And one of the things that I'm really excited about teaching is that I feel like, I taught Reiki for many years. I've done over 75 trainings, but there's a tendency to kind of pick out those students who really wanted to become Reiki practitioners and kind of focus the trainings on them because they were the ones that wanted it the most and were so eager for all of the energy and information and insight from Reiki. And I felt like I always had a little bit of a gap really reaching to people who wanted to do Reiki for self-practice. And so I'm so grateful for, just a new set of tools to really work with people on how they can integrate Reiki in their daily life. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And then Michaela and I have been working on a little project, and hopefully we'll launch that soon. But we did a whole series of 6 different videos, and I think we have a few more to film, but on integrity for Reiki practitioners. And so we'll be looking forward to sharing a little bit more about that. I also have a retreat that I have on my horizons, and I can't wait for it. It's called Whale Song, and this is just like this beautiful love project that I've been putting together that kind of blends all of my favorite things: yoga, Reiki, nature, a special time of year, Earth Day weekend. It's happening over Earth Day weekend in April. And that's the time where the whales come through where I live. And so hopefully we'll get a chance to connect to the whales and go to the redwoods. And I have a few amazing rooms left in that retreat. And I hosted it for the first time last year, and it was one of my big wins for 2022. It was just an amazing experience. So happy to be doing that again in 2023. And I'm already really excited about like the group that's coming together for this retreat. One couple is coming on their honeymoon, and another couple coming, and also just some of my favorite people in the world will be joining me in that retreat. So I've kind of have like my whole life scheduled out until April, because I'm really busy getting all of these projects off of the ground. And then kind of after April, my schedule opens up, and I'm hopeful to do some more Reiki trainings. I am going to be teaching at a Reiki, or actually a yoga conference in Colorado. Or all 3 of us, I believe, are going to be a part of the Reiki Raise conference next year. So definitely looking forward to those things. And so we'll see where the rest of the year takes me. The other Okay, so then the other big project that I've been working on probably for 4 years, and it's really exciting to see it come together, is a mentorship program for Reiki practitioners. So like what Bronwyn is doing, is I just feel really inspired to work with people and support them more in that transition from like doing the Reiki trainings and feeling so inspired by Reiki and just wanting to become a practitioner. And then, doing that work and just kind of the many blocks and the many walls and the many challenges we face in that transformation, and giving people really solid, amazing tools to work through that stuff, so that you can, go after that aspiration, or really feel inspired and supported to follow your calling within Reiki. And then the edge of my growth really is like building this my business sort of called the Reiki Healing Society, which is just really the inspiration is Yusui, and he had this inspiration to give us a container for how we can relate to each other as Reiki practitioners. And that's a calling that I feel like stirred somewhere deep inside of me back in 2013, and kind of stuck. And I just feel like there's something inside me really wanting to create more community for Reiki practitioners. So Reiki Healing Society is really about that. And that's kind of the edge of my growth, because I feel like something about working with other people who are very similar to me. There's this deep sense that I want to connect to those kinds of people. And there's also this deep fear, and I don't know. So I'm working on getting over myself and all of my own hangups, and just hopefully creating a safer, a bigger space where we can really tackle some of the ways in which we can be in a relationship with Reiki in a greater sense of authenticity and integrity. So that's a little snapshot of what I've got going, what I'm brewing for 2023. And I can't wait to hear about Michaela. What do you have on your?
So excited for what we're all doing. I can't wait to do your 11/11 ritual. I've been planning to incorporate that into my vision casting for this year, which I'm in progress of. And so for those of you watching the video, or who tend to watch the video versus listening on audio, you might notice I'm in a bit different space than I usually am. I'm usually downstairs in my green living room. Today I'm upstairs in my blue studio. And one of the ways in which I kind of diversify my business and stay sustainable is by sharing the studio, which is the second story of my home, with my roommate who runs his counseling business out of here on Mondays and Tuesdays. So usually he's up here with clients on Mondays while I'm downstairs filming with you all. He happened to not need it today, which was perfect timing. And I'm just gonna, hopefully this is not too weird, I'm just gonna give y'all a little tour here. He does a lot of sound work, so he has a bunch of sound equipment there. And oh, my cord is doing weird things. A little tea station, stairs. We have our therapy snowman over there. Olaf is ready to cuddle you. Our little altar there. And then my table that needs new sheets. And that's my teacher's altar over there, which includes a picture of Bronwyn, because she is my teacher. So this is the space that is the physical home of my business. Let's see if we can get back here properly, stay in focus. So that's the physical container of my business, and which is called Heartscapes. And this past year, I've been kind of redesigning the core offerings of this business, and in a way that feels, first of all, more coherent in how they all come together and how they get offered, and in greater integrity with the way that I practice Reiki, aligning better with Reiki as the, truly the container of the whole thing. So the main thing that means is that I last year began experimenting with switching from the kind of more common weekend model for Reiki classes to firstly an 8-week model. So teaching Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 over 8 weeks, 2.5-hour classes once a week, and Reiki 3 as a 12-week class. And then taking all of those three, along with all of the special topics classes I've developed over the years, one-on-one support and community space, and put that into a year-long program so that it is a really spacious but also focused container in which a person can walk through the whole journey, can kind of travel through the entire curriculum that I've developed over the last 10 years. And we did a pilot of that program beginning last July. So that first cohort is about to start their Shambhala and Reiki 3 next month. And it's been going so well. I just feel so much more grounded in how I am relating to this material and how I'm relating to the transmission of it in community. It's no longer this kind of flash in the pan that people come in and we have this intense weekend and then they disseminate, and I try to kind of pull them back together for practitioner circles, and some of them do and some of them don't. And, putting it all into this coherent, spacious, but structured form has felt really good. It's felt really aligned with how I want to be with this practice. And I still want to be flexible enough for folks who don't necessarily want to commit to such a huge container. So my Reiki 1 class, people can take just that one class, or they can sign up for the whole year. And then if a person wants to do Reiki 2 or Reiki 3 with me outside of that year program, then I just schedule it with them separately, according to our own schedule. Trying to keep that flexible. So that's kind of the first of 3 branches of my business, which is kind of core Reiki curriculum. The second would be special topics classes and other ways in which Reiki gets taught in ways that align with kind of our daily life. And those classes have really spanned quite a few subject areas over the years. I've done classes on Reiki throughout pregnancy and childbirth, on Reiki as a structure for ritual. I do a Reiki Foundations class. That's just kind of a real simple, I guess you could call it an introduction, but really working with the foundations of the system. And then the trauma-informed Reiki class for practitioners. So teaching practitioners how to, cultivate a perspective that is trauma-informed when we're working with other people. And so in that kind of branch of my business, the places that I'm growing that, or I'm looking to grow that this year, firstly include kind of putting more of a pattern to those classes. So having 2 per quarter instead of kind of offering them here and there as I feel like it. And taking the trauma-informed Reiki piece, which has been a really powerful and important class that I've developed over the last couple of years, and creating written materials from that. So I created a 77-page workbook, basically, to accompany that class that people receive when they take it. And every time I've offered the class, people have said, you really should make this into a book, something that can stand alone from the class. And, I'm really going to take some steps to make that happen this year. It's very intimidating. I come from a family of authors and writers, but for some reason, it's always felt just absolutely intimidating to, the writing of a book. Absolutely. But then the finding a publisher and just all of the administrative side of it that I just don't have any experience in. So using my Reiki practice to, just for today, not be afraid of that process and to step out into something new. And to draw on the support of, people in my community who have walked this path before, like Bronwyn, for example. I'll probably ask you some questions about this process. I'm actually blessed to have a lot of published authors in my life. And so I feel pretty well supported in that experience. And then also in that category of special topics classes and kind of support classes, I want to create a couple of online kind of evergreen classes that people can opt into and do on a self-paced basis. This is a common model. I know the 2 of you have your versions of this. I have really appreciated being able to receive training and knowledge and information from folks that I admire in a easily consumed form, an inexpensive form. And I know from the perspective of the teacher or the creator of the course, being able to really put your heart into something, really do it, as well as you can, and then release it into the world and not have to continue putting a ton of time into administering that class. Outside of marketing it, feels very appealing. So I'm looking forward to stepping into that, also new territory. I haven't done anything like that before. So far, all of my classes have been live. And then the third kind of branch of my business, as I think about how to kind of categorize, would really fall into the category of collaborating with other organizations. And I feel really grateful to have a long history before I started Heartscapes as a community organizer, working in colleges and nonprofits, doing social justice leadership development. So I have a pretty wide network from that part of my life that continues to be this fertile place of being able to bring the skills that I am working with, the material I'm working with now, back into that space. And I have to say that this, I won't say it's the most satisfying part, because I absolutely love teaching the Reiki classes, but the opportunity to kind of look back at those communities that I worked with for so long and be able to contribute back something that I know is so needed amongst organizations, schools, nonprofits, with organizers, people who are putting so much energy and love and attention, so much of themselves into their work, and have so few opportunities to really reconnect with themselves, to really regenerate their energy, to feel grounded, to feel nourished. Many of them working through trauma, working through really challenging situations that maybe inspired them to do that work in the first place. And so it's always been part of my mission to support that community explicitly. And it's taken me longer than I thought to really build up the ability to do that. I think I really needed to root into my identity as a Reiki teacher first. But there's been many opportunities to do that. Last year, for example, I was hired by the Oregon Shakespeare Festival to work with their costumes department to do some self-reflection work around some racial justice initiatives that they had going on at the theater. And so that realm, I really want to explicitly build this year. I feel like I'm ready to really bring those two parts of my career trajectory together. And the specific project that I want to work on is hosting a wellness retreat for folks that are from that past, go back into that network of people doing such good work, and open a space for them to come and receive nourishment, to receive goodness, to receive opportunities to reconnect with their purpose, with why they're doing this work, and to network with each other in a relaxed, beautiful kind of retreat-like space. And the important key to this for me is that I don't want the people who participate to have to pay a dime to do it. I want this to be a love offering to them, which means I need funding, because I'm not going to do it for free. I will happily do it for a whole lot of labor that's uncompensated. But the way in which our businesses and our communities remain sustainable is when we respect ourselves enough to be sure that we're compensated for the time that we put in. In fact, I observed this over and over again in these communities I'm speaking to, where we care so much about the work that we give it away. We give so much of ourselves that it burns us out or kills us. And I really want to challenge that model, right? That idea that if something matters to our heart, then we should just give and give and give of ourselves until there's no more to give. And so I'm just kind of holding this vision that there will be generous and robust funding available to provide this kind of a space for people doing good work. And I'm in the process of researching what that source might be. If any of you out there listening have a funding source that you have in mind that might be really happy to support such a thing, I welcome your input on that. And then the last thing that I will just put in that category, is something that Carrie, you mentioned, connecting with conferences, with festivals, opportunities to just be in groups of people who are excited about this kind of work and to share it with them in a kind of a novel space. I used to do a lot of that kind of work. In fact, I'd planned out a whole year of those kinds of opportunities. At the end of 2019 through the business training program that Carrie and I met in, and all of that got shut down in March of 2020. So it was like a whole year of, in-person events that I had kind of, worked my way into, that all got canceled. And I feel like I'm just now kind of recovering the energy to like look back into that and say, okay, where are these things happening again, and where can I plug back in, because they're a lot of work, but they're a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to cultivating more of that in this coming year. And then to do all of that, in order for all of that to be successful and to get in front of the people who really need it, who most care about it, I'm going to continue building my YouTube channel, continue to connect with people through those sorts of avenues, through podcasts, through other types of conversations that I love to have, and continue to speak to our communities in as many ways as I can. So that is my whirlwind tour through hardscapes in 2023.
This is why we don't talk about it every week, because if we did, we just open worms, because we are driven, motivated Reiki women who have so much that we're trying to dream and accomplish and create and offer to others. Such beautiful offerings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I know that we've each kind of spoken to this a little bit, but I want to just be sure to give a little bit of space in case there's something else that's unsaid around the question of how does all of this kind of strategic planning for the coming year, in what way have we aligned those plans with our Reiki practice? This is a question, Carrie, that you asked us when we were kind of brainstorming today earlier, and I felt really compelled by it because it's another layer, that we have responsibility for as Reiki practitioners. And I suppose it's true that most businesses, one would hope, would filter their decisions through some set of values or some set of principles that they have established for themselves. For us, that first layer is Reiki itself, the Reiki precepts and our practice itself. And so I know we've each kind of spoken to this a little bit, but I just want to see if there's anything else that wants to be shared explicitly about how we're kind of seating this strategic planning inside of our Reiki practice. Anything come up for either of you?
Well, I think what Bronwyn was saying is really profound. It's just that idea of trusting yourself and offerings come and go. If you look through my computer, look through your computer, there's so many little things I've created and little workshops I've offered, little things and big things that I've done as, a small business and, a solo practitioner. And I plan on continuing to do that. And I think all of it really comes from Reiki, because so here's the thing. And Reiki is like this rebirth for me, right? So when we receive Reiki, it transforms you, and you go through the process of doing the trainings and really working with the precepts and working with the energy. There's this part of ourselves that gets uncovered. And if I could think about what that part is, it's just our higher power. It's our bigger self, of who we really want to grow into, and what it's like when we set our soul on fire and really activate this power of action in our life and bringing this medicine and Reiki to others. So the practice for me has always been about basket weaving. It comes back to basket weaving, and it's like, so when we first start out with Reiki, you have to learn how to weave a basket, and it's a basket that you can catch some of the abundance of the universe in. And so we can't just always just offer Reiki. I mean, even though that's also a great offering, this usually has to be some methodology, some thinking about it. And so that's some of my processes, like creating a basket. And so when I've made one basket, I usually want to make it bigger, stronger, better, more resilient. And so when I make an offering and really do all the work of it, it's usually an ongoing process, something that I can offer again and again and again. It's always helpful. But so and a lot of it is just like Reiki. It's just a gift of insight. You know, sometimes I'll be exercising or meditating and I'll come up with this idea just kind of comes to me, and I know that that's just a gift of Reiki pointing me in the right direction, giving me this like extra sensory perception of maybe that there's something out there in my universe that people need, and I can fill that need, fill that gap for people. So I always try to listen to that. I also subscribe to this this thing called Notes from the Universe. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but they send you an email every day of a note from the universe. And I got this awesome note today, and I thought I'd share it with us all and in our own process of whatever you're dreaming and envisioning for 2023. But it always is, it's sent to me, so it starts with my name, but it says, Carrie, please don't let the wisdom you seek or the changes you wish to manifest be driven by feelings that you're somehow flawed, weak, or lacking. Because your ability to imagine change in spite of the illusions that surround you and move towards it without even knowing how, your kingdom will come is the hallmark of perfection, strength, and divinity. And that was like really inspiring for me too, because I think sometimes when we think about our goals, our aspirations, there is that sense that we're coming to it from this flawed place, or we don't, not enough place. And that is a really sound principle to come back to again and again, is that it's not that it's flawed. It's just that we got to keep creating more baskets. One basket is usually not enough. So, we just come back again and again to the process, and aligning ourselves around what is beautiful and perfect, and in the flow in our own life and creative process.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think, you know, I sort of said before what I was thinking, but you know, it is who are you, and that belief in yourself, and that's the blessings of working on yourself, is that we're always uncovering more of ourself and finding that depth within us that we then can share. And you know, I think that's a very beautiful thing, because humans are meant to be together. We're not meant to be isolated little beings. We're meant to be here for each other. And the system of Reiki helps us to be good at that, you know, to be compassionate and loving and caring and grateful and thoughtful, and to leave those flaws behind, and really work on that generosity of spirit and kindness. So I think, Michaela, you were talking about, you know, going back to your history, and I do love that. I love the fact that we can draw on all these things in our lives that are constantly teaching us. Everything is a lesson, and we make that opportunity for those lessons. So if we stay stuck and we don't uncover things about what's going on in the world, if we don't take steps, then you know, we don't grow. And you know, sometimes it's scary, you know, like you're saying, Carrie, and I think that's part of the joy, is that it's how we see it, it's how we approach life, and we can see those steps. Like I was saying, I like to always, when I teach, bring in something that I'm teaching myself at the same time, because that's how I grow, you know. And also that you know, being informed from the past and all the different things that we've learned in our lives, and letting that allowing that to be a part of who we are, And yeah, I don't know. I just, I'm feeling good about this year, and it's been such a beautiful time to be able to share with you guys, everyone out there, but also you two, and that the uncovering and the fear of being, we've often spoken about when we talk together, we don't really plan it, and that there could be fear about that, but instead there is an excitement and a thrill of moving into an unknown space together, and faith in ourselves and faith in each other, that will all be good and okay. And I think that's a really wonderful lesson in life. So I would like to do more of that, and I hope everyone else feels that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that emphasis on, leaning into the adventure of that, and letting our Reiki practice be part of what guides that. I often tell my students, when they ask, well, how do I know when I'm ready to move from Reiki 1 to Reiki 2, or to move from working with the first symbol and mantra to the second to the third? And, I often say something like your practice will tell you, right? You listen to your practice, and we talk about what that means. And, I have to remind myself and really stay with that in my own life. Of course, part of doing something like this is to really walk that path in all of the ways, and inside of our business. And so that really was true when I made the decision to shift to the year program model. It was something that had been on my mind for a long time, but it was really scary. It felt like a tremendous amount of work to, shift all of the materials and the marketing, and, just change a system that people already knew. It just felt like a tremendous burden to do all of that movement. But there was a certain point early on last year that my practice told me it was time to put in that effort. And we could say a lot about what that feels like, and maybe this will be a topic for another conversation, right? What does it feel like? How do we know when our practice, when our intuition is giving us a clear piece of information, and really guiding us to take an action that we've maybe resisted, or that it hasn't felt like it's the right time? But there was just this moment that's like, okay, the time is ripe. Like, it is time to put in this effort, because my practice and our collective practice is asking for something different than what I had been doing prior to that. And it really became this point of almost discomfort. Like, this is going to become uncomfortable if you don't make this change, right? And it gets to this point where the discomfort of staying with something that's familiar, but that's not working, becomes greater than the discomfort of taking that risk and stepping into the unknown. And that can be a challenging discernment, right, to make. And the call of the familiar can be really powerful. And that's one of the things that my Reiki practice has really given me, is the ability to be more open, to feel that groundedness, so that I can feel safe and stable, and more brave, when that call comes, and really work through those kinds of discomforts. And so that's, part of what a new beginning invites us into. Where are the places we're being called to change, to grow, to try something new, to take a risk in any endeavor in our life? And it's been really fun kind of exploring with the two of you, this in this conversation, where we are all being called to take those kinds of risks and grow in this coming year. Yeah. So friends, we will put down below links to our 3 businesses, any of our social media, YouTube channels and such. If you want to stay, keep up with us outside of this space, we hope you will continue to stay with us here on Reiki Women Podcasts. We plan to continue these conversations into 2023 and hopefully beyond. And we would love to stay connected with you in all of those spaces, in all of the ways. And so feel free to drop any questions, any suggestions, any resources you might have for any of us and anything that we've shared. Any particular way you want to be involved and help these things come to fruition, we would love to have a conversation. And until the next time, thank you for being with us on this episode of Reiki Women. We love you so much. Bye-bye.
Happy 2023.